All right. Everybody, welcome to the 2020 edition of Real Crusades History Live, the Christmas special. We are here with the crew, the classic Real Crusades History crew. I am Jay Steven. We've also got Rand. Rand, welcome.
Thank you, Jay Steven. It's always great to be back, and especially on our live stream channel for our very first Christmas special.
That's right. Is this our first Christmas special? I thought we did this every year.
This is the first one for the live stream channel. So you're right. We probably have done this before on the older channel, but yeah, this is our first one for the official live stream channel.
Okay, I see. All right, so we've also got Scott Amos here with us. Scott, how are you, sir?
Hello. Oh, I'm doing great. How are you, Stephen, Rand, Peter? Nice to see all of you all.
All right.
Now my sound is coming through good. I can hear everything clearly. I'm not having any more static. So finally got this set up.
And we got Peter Safarian is also here. Peter, how are you, sir?
Doing great, Stephen. Great to be back with you.
All right. Now, Peter, it looks to me like you are a Knight Templar crossing a river, or is that our good friend Emperor Frederick Barbarossa by any chance?
I believe it is the great Emperor Frederick Barbarossa himself.
Oh, wow. So that's kind of a depressing picture then, honestly.
Well, I kind of look at it as a heroic last stand. It gives some inspiration in these times when the Crusaders felt like they were at a loss, but then came back together and rallied around the memory of a great leader.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. But you know, I gotta say, Frederick Barbarossa, I really love his whole thing where he takes down the Byzantines and then he proceeds to deliver a takedown to the Seljuk Turks. I mean, that is some great stuff in history. Underappreciated. I mean, that was not an easy thing to do either.
No.
I mean,
and didn't he have the largest army that the Crusaders ever amassed to the Holy Land?
I don't think so, because I think the largest crusade was Louis IX's in the Seventh Crusade. Barbarossa had, let's see, how many did he have?
I want to say for the time he was in, it was one of the largest armies that ever departed.
That's definitely true. That's definitely true.
Up to that time, I think it was, and of course, unfortunately, medieval numbers are notoriously unreliable, but yeah, no, it was, the forces he was able to recruit from Germany and northern Italy were supposedly epically impressive.
Yeah, and I just pulled it up actually. Loud. I don't know if you guys have this really good book by G.A. Loud about the Frederick Barbarossa's crusade. He came up with a figure of 12 to 15,000. And I just found that here. That's referenced on the Wikipedia page.
And they were, I think, what medieval sources say 100,000 or something? Is that?
I read they said 50,000.
Yeah, I think 100,000. And that was kind of like a boilerplate number. 100,000 men, which that's pretty crazy. But yeah, 12 to 15,000. That was a massive army to move.
Oh yeah,
across Asia Minor.
Think about the first Crusaders. If they ended up with 15,000 men by the time they got to, a total group of 15,000, of which maybe 10 to 12 were, capable fighters, and the rest were support personnel. I mean, by the time they hit Jerusalem, and that was. They lost, what are the general estimates on, for people who set out on the first crusade, it was something like 100,000, and that's taking everybody into account, and then they end up with only 15. So that was a pretty good sized bunch.
Yeah, and that was several different armies.
Yeah, it was.
I guess that
4 or 5 different armies. Yeah.
I know at the Battle of Ascalon, the first Crusaders had was about 10,000 guys. Yeah, 10,000.
Yeah.
And they were up against a Fatimid army of 20,000. And then when we go back to the Battle of Antioch, let's see, grab that really quick. The Battle of Antioch was 20,000 was the Crusaders up against a Seljuk army of 35 to 40,000. So
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, amazing that they did that at all. But no, the Barbarossa army, the 100,000 is what I've heard. Read a lot of places, or it's kind of the medieval estimate, I suppose. But more like 10 to 12, 10 to 15.
So
but
I'm
going to.
Okay, I was just going to jump in the chat here because people are saying Merry Christmas. A lot of familiar faces here. Dorothy Gaffney, she's lamenting the loss of the great emperor.
I know. I'm sorry, Dorothy, that I've rekindled that memory in you. Merry Christmas to all.
And ZT says Merry Christmas to the whole RCH fam. Well, Merry Christmas to you, ZT. And Tom Griffin, our good buddy Tom Griffin, who is an admin. He says Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Tom. And then we got Chris Torres in the house. Bahamut Zero. I know that he goes by Bahamut Zero, but I know it's Chris Torres, and he's a good buddy.
I know it's you, Chris.
Yeah, we know.
He's been found out.
Chris Torres cannot hide his identity. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And he says Merry Christmas to Norman Stephen, to medieval Scott Amos, to the Safarian, and that one Templar knight.
He's going to my Longshanks character.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Draw and quarter him. Okay.
Yeah, because of Chris, you will forever be Edward Longshanks to me, Scott. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, I started it, with my little avatar. I guess it's age appropriate, I suppose.
And Mark says, "Hey everyone, I totally missed the announcement. Was just reading Night of Jerusalem in the bed when it popped up. Greetings from Germany, everyone. It's 2:00. Wish you all a great Christmas." How's it going, Mark? Merry Christmas, buddy. And yeah, Mark is a good friend of the channel, and he is over in Deutschland, as I understand it. Mark, I believe you told me you are not from there, but you are working there or something. But anyway, congratulations to you. That's a cool place to get to hang out.
Yeah, especially and thanks for the dedication on the braving the time difference.
Oh yeah, definitely. I guess it's probably like what, 2 a.m. or so?
2 a.m.
Germany.
Yeah.
What's more fun than staying up late and listening to live streams about the Crusades?
I know, right?
Oh, okay. Mark says he was born and he works in Germany. So okay, so awesome. Yeah, 2 a.m. exactly. I know my time zones, my global time zones. I think I've done some of these live streams with people in Europe that I like instinctively have a sense of what time it is, nice. in Europe whenever we're streaming. So just a natural instinct I've developed. But yeah, anyway, I would like to extend a Merry Christmas to everybody. It's always, we've kind of built such a nice community with the Real Crusades History community of historical enthusiasts. You guys have been a great presence, and I'm really grateful for that. So I'm glad we could all get together and do this stream. And yet it's a bit informal. I know we didn't advertise it that much. I think I'll go ahead and post it on Facebook right now, just so we get a little bit more exposure going on. I tell my wife to put it on the Instagram feed too. So, what's everybody want to talk about?
Well, I think it's funny that Chris Torres noticed that Scott has a picture from Indiana Jones.
Oh, someone else noticed it?
Yeah.
What?
I think you're the only one who didn't even realize that's where it was from, Scott.
Yeah, I thought it was like an illustration from a book, like the Arthurian romances, like Sir Galahad was the only knight who was pure enough. It's kind of like he's not being weighted down by his sins. He's walking on air, and the other knights are falling off because their sins are dragging them down, and he's the only one that's pure enough to see the Holy Grail.
That's actually
that must
pretty
be
close to how
that's
that's portrayed in the film. Yeah, it's because he finds the one knight who's he's a crusader who's been there for thousands of years or even for 1,000 years, and he's been basically the custodian of the Grail, and they have to they have to go through the the trials of faith to to get to the Grail. And it's funny too, because like there's even a scene where when Indy walks into the room, the knight first attacks him, and he's pretty easily overpowered because he's this super old man, even though he's been drinking from the Grail and staying alive the whole time. But there's even a scene where the knight kind of becomes very friendly to him, and he kind of looks at his clothes and he's like, this is very strange attire for a knight. Like he's he's obviously still in, he's obviously still in 12th century cultural mindset.
Well, now when did the movie come out? No, I've seen it. I know that I saw all the Indiana Jones movies, but this must have been 30 years ago.
I believe.
That sounds right.
I've forgotten the part about the knight. I guess I just remember all the Nazis and stuff, and that's about it. But anyway, that's what I related that picture to, was the old King Arthur story where they all set out and quest in Holy Grail. And was it Sir Galahad that was the only one that was able to see it?
It's either Galahad or Gawain.
Gawain or Galahad, and I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I can't either. I know it's not Percival.
But there was one knight that was totally sinless, and he was pure enough to see it. And but in the story I read, it was like they just couldn't see it. It was veiled.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different. It's funny when you get into the Arthurian legends. There's multiple different Grail narratives, and
right,
and most of them are actually about the knights searching for it but never finding it or never getting to it, and it kind of kind of becomes this unattainable thing where that's where, like, if you read Percival, that's kind of the whole point is. Percival was such a flawed character that he didn't even recognize the Grail when it was like paraded right in front of him, and he like misses it. He misses his chance to actually get it because he didn't even know that's what it was. It's kind of a tragic.
Well, that's various knights. I don't remember, but 2 or 3 of them had a chance or came close to it and saw it. Well, like I said, one saw it behind the veil, but then Sir Galahad or Gawain was the only one that was pure of spirit and heart, and he saw it and then passed away right there. He just
and our viewers are here telling us it was absolutely Galahad. So
it was Galahad.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And Tom had a good question. He said, what happened to the tombs of Godfrey of Bouillon, Tancred, and Bowman?
Bowman's is in Toronto.
Yeah, you can go see it today, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's in one of the main cathedrals in Toronto, in southern Italy.
Really?
And then, yep.
Have you seen it, Rand?
I have not seen it. I've seen pictures of it. Unfortunately, I've never gotten that far south in Italy. That's my next major place to go once the world stops losing its mind. But I'd love to go and actually see Sicily, Calabria, Malta, Norman Italy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
But because I'm very familiar with everything Rome and above. So I've been all over Tuscany, all over Latium, all over Lombardy, but I've never made it down to the south. But yeah, I do know for a fact that Bowman's tomb is still there. It's in one of the cathedrals in Toronto. I'll have to look it up. But who was the other one he asked about?
Godfrey, which I'm pretty sure his tomb is no longer available. It was in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and as far as I know, none of the kings of Jerusalem, their tombs have survived.
Well, there are fragments of them. In fact, somebody just posted. Somebody had a post on, I think it was the Real Crusades History group, that had this amazing layout of where the tombs were due to archaeological work. There are fragments of them that can be seen. It's just like the tombs themselves. Yeah, was it Dorothy? Was that you that posted that?
That was Dorothy. She said it was her. Thank you.
So,
that was a really cool post.
Yeah, that was a really fascinating post, because even I, I've been to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and even I didn't know that's where those were.
Where were they again? Tell me, Rand.
So they were all kind of in the main apse area where the actual sepulcher is, and they were kind of like around the edge, like near the wall of that large open room. And I'd have to find that post again and see that layout. But so, obviously if somebody's gone to the work to identify those spots, there must be things there that, make it identified. But then, you got to wonder with as many times as that church has been like sacked and beaten up, you kind of wonder if, that's, are we just looking at fragments? Are we just looking at where the fragments just ended up?
Apparently they were still, the tombs were still there until like the 19th century. It was
really,
yeah. The Orthodox. I probably shouldn't quote this because this is like a memory I have. I believe I've read this somewhere, but I believe some Orthodox clergy wrecked them at some point, but fairly recently. Like they were there until pretty recently. I read that somewhere. I mean,
it's interesting. Well, it's interesting too, because there's all sorts of really weird. What a lot of people don't realize. I'm sure, Stephen, I'm sure you've encountered this, but there's a lot of really weird politics that goes on inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, because it's equally owned by the four major rites. So it's Latin Christianity, Greek Christianity, Armenian Christianity, and Russian Christianity.
Wow.
All the representatives of those rites have equal say over everything that goes on in the Holy Sepulchre, which is why nothing can be done in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre without all four representatives agreeing on that course of action. If just one of them doesn't go for it, doesn't happen.
Fights break out there. Videos of actually happening.
Yeah, especially between the Armenians and the Russians. It usually the main culprits are the Armenians and the Russians. Those are some pretty epic, like incense censers being used like weapons. It's all you have to do is search on YouTube for Google fights in the Holy Sepulchre, and you'll see some pretty epic knockdown dragouts. And then of course the funny thing is the representatives of Latin Christianity are the Franciscans. It's the Franciscan order that's there in Jerusalem, and of course they're trying to run around trying to get everybody to be nice to each other, and then eventually they just give up, and it's whatever, just let them get it out of their system.
What I'm surprised by,
you guys, isn't there a Muslim that opens it, that has to open and shut the door? Is that true?
No, that was back in the Ottoman era, when they had that. That has not been a thing since Jerusalem was taken by the British during the Great War. And
Oh, really?
and
Oh, I didn't. I thought it was still true today. I mean, I don't know
no,
where I picked that
no,
up.
that's yeah. And the Israelis are very, very touchy about who does what anymore.
Yeah.
I remember that was I couldn't even get into, or I couldn't even go up to the entrance of the Temple Mount, where the Alaska Mosque is and the Dome of the Rock,
Right.
because there was an
I
IDF
mean, they're
checkpoint.
not.
Well, there was
Sure.
an IDF checkpoint there, and they stopped me and they were like, "Are you a Muslim?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Are you a Jew?" "No." And they're like, "Yeah, sorry, you can't come here today."
Really?
Say
Okay.
say yes.
So I mean, I look about it. I
I-
look about as white American as I can get. I don't think I could pull that off, but
Yeah,
I
not
didn't
much
wanna-
chance.
I didn't want to go to the Temple Mount when I was there. Honestly, I just didn't want to even,
yeah.
didn't wanna bother.
I'm surprised you
So-
said the Russians have a say in that. How did that happen?
That's
I would
been
expect it
ever
to be like
since.
Syriac or.
Well, that's been ever since the 19th century. So back when the czars were still a thing, and there was all sorts of 19th century nationalistic competition between the great powers of Europe. The Russians, in pretty early on, really the Russian czars really in the 19th century staked this claim to they were the protectors of Jerusalem. They were the rightful protectors of Christianity in the Holy Land, and of course what they meant by that was Eastern Christianity, and they.
About 500
There was
years
all this,
too late.
yeah. There was all this sponsorship. Whole churches were totally renovated and kind of remodeled at the expense of the Russian czars throughout the 19th century. And there was a lot of patronage that came in from them. And one of the things they arranged was the Russian Orthodox Church was going to have a say in the Holy Sepulchre, and they kind of muscled their way in and sort of established themselves. And at the time, the Ottomans were too afraid. The Ottoman Empire still owned Jerusalem technically, and they were kind of too afraid to say no, because at that time, the Ottomans were already turning into the sick man of Europe, and the Russians definitely had an advantage over them, and so it was basically everybody was just kind of like, well, okay, I guess this is a thing now, and that's where they've been there. The Armenians have been there forever, the Greeks have been there forever, and the Latins have been there ever since the Kingdom of Jerusalem. But yeah, so funny story, real quick segue into just how crazy the politics of the Holy Sepulchre can get. So if you ever go there, if any of our listeners ever go there, you can even just look this up. There's something there called the immovable ladder. And it's a small wooden ladder that is up underneath one of the windows of the main facade outside. As you walk down into the courtyard and you turn and look at the facade, there's a window. I think it's like the top left one. And there's a little ladder underneath. There's this little wooden ladder. That wooden ladder has been there since the early 1700s. And the reason it was there is because a workman who was there working on one of the windows left it up there. And because it takes all the various Christian rites to all agree for something to happen, for some reason, one of them wouldn't agree to this ladder being taken down. And so that ladder has stayed up there since the early 1700s. Although personally, I kind of feel like they do it now just as like a meme. It's like, well, it's been up there this long, we might as well just leave it up there. It's become tradition. But there's actually even been a couple of times where, like recently, where like pranksters have gone up there and absconded with it. And they always end up like getting arrested by the Israelis, and then they end up going and putting it back where it was under the window where it's been since the early 1700s. And you can go there and it's still there. That little ladder is still there.
So Tom asked if anybody has seen the new El Cid show on Amazon. Any of you guys watched that yet?
I did
No?
not. I
No.
saw the trailer for it, and just even from the trailer, I was like, I feel like this is gonna make me irrationally angry. And
Is it like another
Was
Nightfall?
It's
Is
really
this-
bad. It's worse than Nightfall. I was watching it with my wife last night, and she was like, "Is this right? Is this right?" Like, no, none of this is right. It's so.
I will.
Is
I
this
will
a
say
series or a movie?
I think
Let's
it's a series.
series. Looks
Is
like there's only
Series,
5
okay.
episodes up right
El
now.
Cid.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Guys, it is so bad. For one thing, El Cid is like he's a quote unquote page, and he's like a 25-year-old man, and he's trying to work his way to become a squire. And it's like, okay, well, he was the commander of the the commander of the military, wing for Prince Sancho.
Yeah,
I mean, he was like
he was basically like his marshal,
right, and he grew up with him. It was one of those deals where it's like he was picked to be one of his companions. They grew up as boys, and so he was knighted by Sancho. I imagine it was kind of around the same time Sancho was knighted, but it's like, yeah. Anyway, it's just so irritating. I mean,
yeah, that's annoying. Colonel Altismo, yes, El Cid from 1961 is a fantastic movie. Horribly accurate. You're not gonna, it's very 1960s. You're not gonna get any like accurate medieval representation from the time. However, it's just a great. It's a badass story. Like it's all the cool like legendary parts of the Cid's life. Like it's and the scene of Charlton Heston playing El Cid, having his corpse strapped onto the horse and sallying out and just annihilating the Almohads outside is you have to watch it. It's kind of required viewing.
Oh, I've seen that movie. So I saw it when it first came out. God, it's incredible. I mean, it's still incredible. I'll get on and watch the fights. The tournament scene on there. I'll pull that up on YouTube every now and then and just watch it.
It's one of those like it's good campy. It's
good. Well, that the tournaments out of the 15th century or the 16th and El Cid lived before the First Crusade. I mean, it's just like, it is campy. And they have the time. Like I said, you go to this tournament where he fights. That. Anyway, it's like 200 years off or something.
Yeah, it is really good, but it's all it's one of those. It's like it's so bad it's good.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. It's cool. I mean, to me that's one of the great movie medieval fights and cinematic history. But yeah, it is. It's in terms of history. It's not. There's a lot wrong with it, but it is well done. I mean, it's a good fight.
Yeah, there's a couple of movies like that from that time period that even though yes, historically they're not super accurate, but they're just very well done and well acted. And one of my absolute favorites is and I usually watch it around this time of the year. Actually, there's two of them that I watch around this time of the year because it's one they're either Christmas themed or their feast days take place during Christmastide. But one is Becket with Sir Richard Burton about St. Thomas Becket, and then the other one is the Lion in Winter with Peter O'Toole and Katharine Hepburn as Henry II and Eleanor d'Aquitaine.
I hate that.
Respectively.
I'm gonna be really honest. I hate The Lion in Winter.
I just honestly, and I know why, because it's there's of course they were that was one of the movies that popularized the whole myth of Richard being homosexual and all that kind of thing. But it's just the acting in it is so good. Like Catherine Hepburn as Eleanor d'Aquitaine is, I will never get that out of my mind.
I'm just not convinced by any of it, honestly. I think it's to me, it's like everything wrong with pop culture ideas about the medieval world. I mean, there's even a part where she says something like, "Well, we're all a bunch of barbarians, aren't?" I don't know, like, and it's just so overdone. Like they take every little political and dynastic squabble and make it into a little pithy back and forth. And I mean, I guess you could say it's kind of like a clever, way of sort of mismatch, sort of like presenting all that stuff in kind of like a little fun, goofy drama.
Yeah, it's I would never watch it for its historical value. It's which is basically non-existent in it. But to me, it was a very entertaining and very well made. It was it was made back in the day when actors were actually actors, and there actually was an art to what they did, as opposed to just being appendages to a CGI extravaganza like what most everything today is turned into. But yeah, no, I'd say another one, and this one actually is very accurate. It was actually praised even back then for being extremely accurate. And this isn't really, this is very, very late medieval, but if anybody's ever heard of the film A Man for All Seasons.
Oh yeah. That was great.
Yeah, about St. Thomas More. That is
now that was set in the days of Henry VIII. Is that correct?
Yep. So early 1500s.
And it was like Henry VIII's conflict with his one of his his high officials.
Yeah, well, it was the very beginnings of the English Reformation, and
it was that's what we get back to. And no. What am I saying? Well, back it was a conflict too between Henry II and Thomas of Becket,
and that was really more just their personal conflict with each other. Whereas in Man for All Seasons, you're seeing the actual split, of the Church of England and Thomas More's.
Right. No. These two were hundreds of years apart, but I mean, the themes were kind of similar. And both, conflict between a king and it was over religion and over, back it was more like, he turned into he turned saintly after he was appointed to Archbishop of Canterbury by Henry II, and then unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And then
some of that is
More was one of Henry VIII's highly placed advisors or whatever.
He was Chancellor of England. Yeah. And it was
Henry.
The part that I just love about A Man for All Seasons is just the portrayal of the stand of conscience and the fact that even when all the world and everybody around him is saying give in and give it, just go along with this, he makes his stand and ends up paying the ultimate price for it. But the interesting thing is the original play, because Man for All Seasons was originally a play written in the 1940s by a guy named Robert Bolt. But Robert Bolt was not even a Catholic. He was actually an agnostic. Who he was just always very touched by the story of Thomas More and the stand that he took, and he kind of turned it into an allegory of the importance of conscience, even when all the world and all the culture and all the society around you is going the other way.
Yeah.
Rand, didn't you see The Outlaw King? What did you think about
it? I did. I've seen it a couple of times. And I've when I first saw it, I was massively impressed. just blown away with the attention to detail and the even down to like what the characters were wearing and everything like that. Watching it later, watching it a couple other times, there are some things that bug me about it. I cannot get over their portrayal of Prince Edward or future Edward II. He was
horrible.
They have him completely wrong. This is a guy who, in his own times, was described as never was there a man who had as little interest in being king. Like,
yeah,
he was
a psycho. You just contrast that portrayal with Braveheart.
Yeah, in Outlaw King, they turn him into this moody, angsty, seething psychopath. That
he really was.
This is not who Edward II was. I really did love the way they portrayed Edward Longshanks. That was much more accurate. That was much more true. Yeah. That was much more true to the real character of Edward I, and he was not the cartoonish demonic villain that Braveheart makes him out to be. So
that's what. But that I don't know. That's still it's just another one of those things that's so bad it's good.
Yeah.
The Braveheart.
I'll take your word on it, Scott. I'll take your word on it. I can't even get through the first 15 minutes.
That's another thing I get on YouTube and watch is various scenes with Longshanks and Braveheart, just over and over again.
Yeah, I can't even get through the first 15 minutes of Braveheart. I've tried and I shut it off. It's
so good. How can you not like it as a film?
And I did also like how in Outlaw King they portrayed that the struggle for Scotland was not it was not the proto-American Revolution. It was not it was a very medieval conflict. It was a war of a bunch of Norman aristocrats on both sides of the wall who actually were more related to each other than they were anything else. And it was really a very medieval political conflict. It was not this Americanized war for independence like it's been made out to be in modern times. And I think you get a much better sense of that in Outlaw King. You get a much better sense. I mean, the Scots are all too busy fighting each other. You've got all the different clans and all the different nobles and stuff like that, and they're all at each other's throats, and they all have rivalries that go way further back and all this kind of thing. It was not a clear cut, and Robert Bruce was not the noblest of guys at all times. I mean, the assassination at Dumfries, he spent most of his time as king as an excommunicate because of that. I felt like it showed a much more balanced, a much more accurate portrayal of all that, and some of the costumes were just fantastic. The armor set that Robert Bruce wears at the Battle of Loudon Hill, there at the very end it's like literally drawn. It's like a funeral effigy from the time come to life. And whoever did the research for it just did a phenomenal job with that, just accurately portraying the types of armor that they would have worn at that time, or at least as closely as we can represent it. I also heard that, and I understood that Albion Armorers actually supplied a lot of the weapons in that film. So a lot of the swords and things that you see come from the guys at Albion, who are renowned for making period accurate medieval weaponry. So, all right. Any other movies anybody wants to talk about?
Let me see.
Their chat's blowing up.
Well, let me say a couple other things about the El Cid show since it's current. There's several things that annoyed me about it. There is a scene where, so the king at the time is Fernando I of Leon Castile, who was a major element in the Reconquista. He conquered a lot of stuff from the Muslims. He was kind of the first one to really do that. And there's a scene where he's arguing with his son Sancho, and Fernando goes, well, I want you to go and collect tribute from the Moors, which that's funny too, like the Moors, quote unquote, and Sancho goes, Father, why don't we just conquer the Moors instead of collecting tribute from them? And Fernando goes, I told you, it's a lot better to just collect tribute from them. They're the only ones who can get spices and things like this.
What?
We would lose all of them if we conquered them. And he goes, well, okay, Father, but I'm not sure that's the right thing. So it's like, I mean, it's just very funny. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with how ridiculous that is. I mean,
unfortunately, it's we're still in a time where the vast majority of people who represent the film arts are
stupid.
People who, maybe
I was going to be more diplomatic, but I would say, right? No.
These are people who are still have a vested interest in the extremely outdated, very anti-medieval, anti-religious,
it's a total false dichotomy, right? Like, I mean, what they did is they would, if it makes sense, we'll conquer something. If it's not really quite the right time, we'll just extract some tribute from them. I mean, this was the classic situation in the mid to late 11th century in Spain. This is what was going on. So just like imposing this kind of false dilemma, just upturns the entire period and makes it incomprehensible. I mean,
well, that does, and that smacks that even smacks a little bit of kind of the myth of the Andalusian paradise. The Moorish Spanish were so advanced and so cultured. And they had all the spices, and they had it's like, no, that's
how can we get spices? It's not like there's other people trying to sell spices all over the place. I mean,
yeah. In the meantime, the Italian mercantile city-states are going, really? Really?
Well, I mean, you conquer them, and merchants still come. I mean, like if we run Zaragoza, then it's not like merchants aren't going to. I don't even think that was one of the major places where spices would have been brought, because probably more south. But anyway, so there was that, and then there was a whole thing. Okay, get this. So they had this idea that the church was secretly trying to assassinate Fernando because he wasn't doing his duty in conquering the Moors, quote unquote, and his wife, Queen Sancha, was kind of mixed up in this plot to do this. So this is all totally just absurd. I mean, the idea the church was trying. I mean, Fernando was one of the church's main boys at the time. I mean, and he was doing the work. He's the one who conquered Coimbra. He basically got Portugal going. You know what I mean?
It's just so frustrating that, the people who are running the film and television business, I don't know if it's what they do is they ignore the actual history of the events, and then just invent their own stories to go along, to fill in the gaps.
Well, that's what we've seen with what was the Knight Templar
Nightfall.
Yeah, Nightfall. I mean, it was like, okay, did you all even pick up a book?
Right.
Did you even look at Wikipedia? Did you even?
No.
It's like the work's already been done for them, but they're just like, oh no, I know why they're doing it, but it's just like, oh no, we have to change it, so it can fit, our politically correct vision of what we think the medieval world should be.
That was one of my big problems. I've seen a couple of people in the chat talking about this was another Netflix medieval film, but it was The King, which was it was kind of the take on Henry V and Agincourt and the the beginnings of Lancastrian France and all that. And that unfortunately, again, great images, great aesthetics. Great scenery, great costuming, like all that kind of thing. But then the history was just absurd. Like it was, I mean, again, like a simple Wikipedia perusal could have helped them out. Like, it was just, like they didn't even have to try. And it was just so bad, to the point where I couldn't even enjoy the aesthetic part of it because it was just, I'm watching things happen and it's like, okay, are you all literally just making up your own story? Because that's pretty much what's happening here. You've made up a complete fantasy story and you've just inserted real historical people into it. Like,
I want to come in here with you.
But well, hopefully we're not ranting too much.
So yeah. Somebody brought up.
Okay.
Somebody brought up Iceland. Let's see here. Yeah, November 11th, 1918 says hello from Iceland. I've been like really interested in Viking stuff lately. I've been reading a lot of Viking history lately.
Me
Are
too.
you too, Peter?
I haven't been reading as much as I'd like to, but now, I recently discovered through Ancestry.com that I have like 5% Norwegian heritage, and I've come up with a theory of how that happened. I think it's because since my mom is Sicilian, perhaps it goes back to the Norman conquest of Sicily, and it traces itself all the way back. I don't know, but I'm definitely interested in it. It's funny you bring up Iceland because I think my philosophy professor gave me an article once about self-governed Viking colonies in Iceland. That seemed pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
Yeah, like Iceland was a Viking colony. I've only kind of for a look at that. I've mainly been reading about England and France, but yeah, in fact, I think there's like a famous saga you can read, like some really interesting.
Well, there are the Icelandic sagas, and those are the
Egil saga, and I don't know how to pronounce it, Nijal or something.
Yeah, they're the Icelandic saga corpus it's the most complete surviving saga corpus that we have left from the Norse world, and that's why those ones usually get the most attention because they're the most complete.
We should have that Viking historian Bjorn on for a live stream sometime. I don't think we've ever had a guest talk about the history of the Viking.
I've seen a couple of his videos. I know. Unfortunately, you kind of have to be careful who you talk to in that world because there's, as we've seen in the last several years, there's been sort of the phenomenon of the Viking bro kind of thing where everybody was getting into like all the weird like neo-pagan stuff. And so much of that was just so made up, and artificial. But you had people like, oh, who was that guy? Who's the real infamous one?
Varg.
Yes, thank you. You have idiots like that, and
Ivar the Boneless. Is that who you're talking about, Rick?
No, we're talking about a
modern
day YouTuber.
That went way over the top.
Yeah, and it's just that kind of it's the kinds of people who like unironically watch like Vikings and get like super into it. It's like.
So real quick, Mark is asking for an update on Knights of the Cross, so I'm gonna do that real quick. So yeah, we've been doing a lot with it. We changed the film date for our trailer to March 18th through the 21st, so it's going to be a little bit later than we'd originally planned. This is because of just kind of some production stuff. Bug Hall has joined the team. He's a pretty well-known actor. He was actually in Little Rascals back in 1994, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. So he's gonna play most likely Richard. But yeah, he's also writing the script with me. We've been working on the concept for the first episode, but also getting the trailer in order. We've got a stunt team, a group of jousters who are going to do, all of our stunts. So we'll kind of have some doubles, like Bug will be doing the acting portions of Richard, and then we'll have a stunt guy doing the cavalry stuff. We've got the horse ranch booked for the filming of the trailer.
That's awesome.
What else can I say about what's going on? Christian channel goes live April 2nd. The trailer should be out. We'll be done filming it on the 21st of March, so it'll probably be out either real late March or real early April. Angelo Labuti is directing it. He worked on The Mandalorian, The Lion King, a bunch of stuff. He's
Whoa, that is huge.
Yeah, that is
That
awesome.
is.
Mandalorian.
yeah.
I think we're good. I think we're in for a good show.
Yeah, there's no question.
Really?
I mean, Angelo he's brilliant. We actually are kind of changing the way we're filming it now too. Our original plan was to go to Spain, but concerns about travel and all that stuff with the health situation in terms of lockdowns and all that. We've decided we're most likely going to film it in the States. And actually Angelo's been pushing for that because he's kind of an expert in this. I don't even know much about the technology, but there's the way they film stuff now, like The Mandalorian, it's this whole thing where it's like a sound stage with they project the visuals. If you look into how The Mandalorian was done, that's kind of what Angelo's wanting to do with this. And one good thing about that is we'll be able to do it all in one location, and he'll basically design the environments and stuff, and that's what he does. He's an artist. I mean, he creates these visuals, and he's brilliant at it.
Well, there are some places you can film in the States that would actually have pretty decent stand-ins for the Palestinian coast. I mean, basically anywhere.
And we may do some of that, but a lot of this is kind of the direction just Angelo's kind of taking it, because this is sort of his expertise and he really wants to do it this way. And I believe in it. I mean, I've seen The Mandalorian and it looks amazing. So yeah, and this is all because this is kind of a core team of Catholics. I mean, Angelo is a Catholic, Bug Hall is a Catholic, obviously Austin Kelly, who founded Christian Channel, is a Catholic. It's just it's kind of a lot of film industry veterans are involved with this, but we're coming together. I mean, I'm not a film industry veteran, but I'm fortunate enough to be working with them. But it's kind of coming together as around this concept of okay, well, this is a group of Christians and Catholics and who are wanting to do this, and I am really excited about it. I'm just really glad to be involved in it. But so yeah, Mark, that's just your brief update. I am going to do an update video about it either next week or the week after. I've been kind of behind on doing update videos on it, but yeah, it's just really exciting, and so there we go.
Yeah, that's really fantastic to hear. That's
really exciting.
How long is the trailer going to be, Stephen?
I think the trailer will probably be the script is about 7 or 8 pages. It'll probably be like 3, 4, 5 minutes. It's not going to be super long.
Yeah, well, that's about what I expected. But quality is the most important thing.
But yeah, Bug and I came up with the concept, and he really has been a huge help for me, honestly, in laying out the script. And he's a brilliant storyteller and screenwriter in his own right. And that has just been, I'm really excited to be working with him on that, honestly, because he is I I feel like together we're really going to be able to make just a really tight script, because obviously he's got a lot of experience in this format and the TV show format. So kind of combining our two expertise levels, that's what's going to make it work really well. So
I'm also interested. Sorry, go ahead, Ren.
Stephen, so the premise of the show, or the period covered by the show, like can you give us an idea of like when does it start and where does it go up to?
What's Third Crusade? For sure, what we're going to do end on the Battle of Jaffa. It's kind of our finale. The question now is sort of how we're going to start the story, and it's looking like it's going to kind of start right after the fall of Acre. Just because it's probably going to be about 5 or 6 episodes, so I want to make sure we kind of don't, compress stuff too much. But I feel like so it'll be like our pilot episode will be the Battle of Arsuf, basically, or like a story built around that.
Okay, so really, it's Richard's campaigns in Palestine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's awesome. What we didn't get in Kingdom of Heaven.
What?
What we did not get in Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah. I mean, the thing is, we've got like high level expertise in terms of the people who are creating this thing, and we're going to be able to say exactly what we want to say with it. I mean, it's like, there's not going to be any PC BS at all. It's gonna be the real deal. So
I'm interested to see what the reaction will be to the show and Christian Channel in general.
Yeah, I mean, we will find out. I mean, when the trailer drops, when the trailer comes out, that'll probably be sort of the initial swell of buzz and stuff like that getting going. I mean, they're going to do like a YouTube campaign and boost the video quite a bit. So yeah, it's going to be it's exciting. I mean, it's just and the stunt team, the jousting guys are really fun to work with. Like talking to them about how we're going to lay it out, and they're actually saving us a lot of money because they're providing pretty much all the wardrobe almost, because they've got it. Like they've got Templar gear and 12th century gear, and the only thing we're having to make is we're making some tabards, and so we're making a dress for our female character. We have a seamstress doing that. So a few items we are creating. We're creating some horse wardrobe, like some a comparison type things for Templar. We have Templars in the trailers. So there's going to be a Templar gear for the horses and stuff like that.
Stephen, we got a question from Chris. How long will the episodes be?
45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It
is.
It's definitely for me kind of the culmination of everything Real Crusade's history has been about. So,
what are you most excited to see out of this show, Stephen?
I'm really excited that it's going to be like the Crusades with the actual spirit of the Crusades. Like this is going to be all the religious depth and the spirituality and like the true, that depth of feeling of like this is about the Holy Sepulchre and about, Christendom and doing this. We're not going to have any of the intrusion of the modern misinterpretations of the medieval world. It's going to be a very medieval voice coming through with the show, and both sides too. I mean, I think we're gonna get the Muslims right as well. We're gonna get the sense of like Saladin and his people are trying to make
Saladin more interesting. He's not just like 19th century liberal gentleman. He's like a shrewd politician, a good soldier, and he was kind of pragmatic too.
Yeah, I feel like the Saladin that we get from Ibn Shaddad, that's going to be the Saladin we're going to portray. I mean, the whole thing is going to be very closely based on Ibn Shaddad, the Gesta Regis Ricardi, and the Ernol source, like the Conquest of Jerusalem in the Third Crusade source that Ashgate published. So, and Iron Duke said no female warriors. Yeah, that's There will be no female warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, the more and more I hear about it, the more excited I get, because there's so many communities out there, even just on YouTube and on social media. There's so many communities out there that they're waiting for something like this. They're waiting for something that's accurate, that just truly captures the spirit of that time, and accurately portrays it. The only thing I would say is, definitely get the gear right, because there are people out there who will nitpick, and I hate to say that I'm one of them, but there are people that will nitpick it to death if it's not. So
it's going to be very.
It'll be like publishing. It'll be like publishing a book in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
People who will literally just take every little bit of it apart.
Yeah, you'll have people like Shadiversity and stuff making videos.
You got to make sure he has nothing to make a video about.
If we get
exactly, or if he does, he's going to be like, "This was awesome. This was amazing. Like, these people really did their job."
Well, one good thing about this is the guys in our jousting group they're kind of acting as Kyle Potts is kind of the head of that. He's acting as a sort of wardrobe advisor. I mean, I can help with it too, but it's like they really do know the period really well, and he's being very meticulous about everything is going to fit in with late 12th century.
Yeah, and just in case anybody was confused, I love Shadiversity to death. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't trying to cast shade on him or anything like that. But I do know that him and several others, like they're sort of notorious for. Yeah, they're sort of notorious for as soon as a new movie comes out, they're already picking out what's wrong with it, what's inaccurate, what's.
Now, if Shadiversity makes a video about us, then we will have arrived.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We're there. But I'm super excited. I would say, as somebody who owns some period accurate weaponry and equipment for that particular time period, any chance of there being some openings for some cameos?
I'll be the Cilician Armenian.
And you know what? Honestly, guys, like, definitely. And the thing that's cool about that too is now that we're going to be making it in the States, it'll be a lot easier for people to come and be an extra or something. Or
exactly.
Could you use an elderly nobleman? I think my hair will probably be down to my shoulders again by then, and I got it cut when we moved.
Yeah, we can have there can be a scene. There can be a scene somewhere where all 4 RCH founders will have a cameo.
That'd be fun. I mean, all together.
Well, the thing is about it, like with medieval politics, I mean, whatever's going on, there was always lots of people there. Like if Richard is having a meeting with Safadine, then there's going to be all kinds of nobles and knights with him. And so, it's like, of course, Scott, you could be there. Here's a senior Templar who's
I wouldn't say anything, but I could just, like a guy who'd been around for a while, I have
Scott, we all know your cameo is going to be, you're going to be like a scribe or something. You're going to be like writing stuff down. That'd be like the most
good one too.
With your authorship.
I think eyeglasses had been invented by Rand. I think eyeglasses had been invented by then.
You're gonna be the wizard, Scott.
I can't wait for the medieval Scott Amos meme.
You're gonna be Richard's wizard. Richard's gonna
I guess I could play a bishop or an old, like you're saying, an old Templar, or maybe I wouldn't mind playing a bishop or something like that.
Scott needs to be the guy. He needs to be like the guy at the very beginning and the very end who's like writing everything down.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. I like that idea.
Maybe the show should open with Scott just being like, "Well, let me tell you about the story of the First Crusade."
So it's gonna be like a Texas
Yeah.
accent thing.
No,
Exactly.
any role I play will be non-speaking.
No, I play.
I guess I could play something about the Civil War, but that'd be about it. We're not going there. So, no, anyway.
Especially
you guys,
I would prefer a non-speaking role too, especially since my Norman French isn't what it should be. But,
right. Rand, you would make a good Templar.
Yeah, Rand, you should be a Templar.
The accent that's going to be used in the show, Bug was telling me what it is. Let me look here really quick. It's called
I think in Andrew Latham's novel, he talks about one of the characters is
Mid-Atlantic,
and he noticed like the accent used by people in the Holy Land. Like, was there a different kind of accent developed?
Well, there's this accent that apparently is like a catch-all for historical dramas. It's called Mid-Atlantic. So, I'm not like sort of the main guy doing the acting stuff in it. That's more Bug's thing, and so yeah, that's how we're gonna approach that. But if you guys want to check out, there's a really good thing on YouTube. It's like a montage of clips from Bug Hall doing from different movies and stuff. It's really cool, and you get an idea of like his capabilities as an actor. He's a great actor. I mean, he's a powerful actor.
Is that the same guy you were mentioning, Little Rascals?
Yeah, that was his first role in 1994. He was.
Well, yeah, he made headlines a couple years ago when he was one of the ones who came forward kind of during when like a lot of former child actors were coming forward, talking about some really bad experiences in Hollywood, and he was one of them. I do recall.
He talks about that in a video he did on YouTube, which is pretty.
He came forward about like pretty horrific abuse that occurred. Yeah, and it's neat to see that that's what he's channeled that into. That that the kind of person that he is now.
Now we're talking about the guy that's going to play Richard, right?
Yeah, most likely. I'm a little bit. We haven't really announced this publicly, but I'm a little bit kind of wondering if he should play Baldwin, Richard's knight, because there's kind of something about Baldwin's emotional or sort of the arc of his character that almost makes me feel like Bug would be really great for that. But this is actually the first time I've mentioned that publicly. But
is this Baldwin?
We shall see.
Richard does. I mean, the historical Richard definitely comes across as this like massive, just larger than life. Kind of, a guy who, as soon as he walked into anywhere, he just immediately commanded the entire room. There's just you definitely get that sense of him when you read, about him, even somebody that was. Even to friends was kind of intimidating. That even people that were on his side were intimidated by. You definitely got that back when he was Prince of Aquitaine in his younger years. He was known for being he was known for having a ruthless streak.
But he was also like extremely good in the council chamber. I mean, he would like. There's that part in Ibn Shaddad where he talks about how Abu Bakr, Al-Adil's chamberlain, came to meet with Richard after the Saladin was repulsed from Jaffa, and how it was kind of like this merry old time. I mean, Abu Bakr and some of these Mamluks had become friends with Richard.
Yeah.
Which is what Ibn Shaddad says. That is incredible. I mean
it shows that he wasn't one-dimensional, I think that's what so many of these historical portrayals get wrong is they portray these people as just these one-dimensional characters. And while Richard, yes, could be a very intimidating, very impressive, larger than life figure, he also had an extremely intellectual side. He had an extremely acute just sense of diplomacy. He was even a little bit of or at least at the very least an art appreciator. He came from Aquitaine, which was that was the focal point of like the chivalric romances and things like that. Like he very much was raised in an environment that appreciated the finer arts and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely, it would definitely be wrong to just focus on just one aspect of his personality and make him this very, one-dimensional character.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how the portrait we get of Richard from Ibn Shaddad is, like you're saying, of somebody who is very multidimensional. And there's a part where he talks about Al-Adil and Richard discussing music together, and how, or maybe this might be an Ibn al-Athir. It talks about how Ibn Al-Adil had a Muslim harpist play some Muslim music for Richard, and Richard commented on it and discussed, his thoughts on the music and how he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, again, very fascinating. I mean, yeah, Richard the Lionheart was not just some kind of big, dumb fighter. He was a cultured man. He was someone who could create a lot of rapport with his Muslim enemies in the council.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
There's one of the chronicles from the time. I think it's the one by Ambrose. They describe, and John Gillingham makes a big deal of this in his biography of him. But Richard was described by one of his chroniclers as he was half laughing, half serious in everything he did.
Well,
it was kind of like meaning like he knew how to deliver things. Like he had a tact where like he could say something serious, but he would say it in like a way that would put everybody in the room at ease, or and everybody would laugh about. It was like, so it was kind of like. Go ahead.
That's specifically from that episode we were just talking about, where Abu Bakr, the Chamberlain, comes to visit Richard at Jaffa after Saladin has been repulsed from Jaffa. That's that specific episode. Ibn Shaddad says the discussion they had was both serious and lighthearted.
Yeah.
And he talks about the fact that there was joking and stuff. And one of the jokes that Richard makes, which Ibn Shaddad records, again, this is from an Arabic source, is that Richard says, my God, your Sultan is so great. I was shocked that he left so quickly. I mean, I just showed up with a few guys and we only had on a bit of armor, and yet he ran off. I mean, I was disappointed. This is such a clear image of the subtleties of the diplomacy plus Richard's personality coming through from this Arabic writer. I mean, it's just fascinating. And
the fact that he had a sharp enough intellect and a keen enough intellect to be able to deliver things like that. Where it was like, yeah, this was definitely not some just dumb brute, who all he knows is the battlefield, and all he he solves every problem with a sword, and all that kind of thing. He had this remarkably diplomatic side to him that I don't think it's appreciated.
And what's funny about it is the Victorians, their big thing about Richard was, he was just kind of unsubtle. But the truth is that their interpretation of him was oafish and unsubtle. Like, they didn't get at all the broader dimensions of this historical figure. So it's like they are actually, the Victorians were the oafish, unsubtle, buffoons.
Yeah. Real quick, Stephen, because we're about to lose our viewer from Germany. But he did want to ask. He said, any updates on your book?
Oh yeah, I'm real close to it being done. I know I've been saying that for the past 3 months, but I'm serious. I'm thinking it'll be out early next year. Unfortunately, it's not going to be out for Christmas, which is this week. So yeah, I appreciate that, Mark. I appreciate your interest. It should be a couple more months or so, and it'll be out. So So there
Good stuff about the show. That's all really awesome to hear. A lot of that's even news to me. So
yeah, it is going to be awesome. I mean, it really is. So, okay, do you guys want to keep going, or should we start wrapping things up?
yeah, I think there were a couple more questions that we had from in here. We had a question from Tom Griffin. Did any pope ever visit any of the Crusader states during the era of the Crusades? Not that I recall.
I don't think so. I think that would have been a tough one.
Yeah, I don't think any. I know there were future popes. There were guys who later became pope.
Cardinals
were in.
Who was that?
Yeah. There's one in particular. I can't. I'm blanking on his name right now. But he was somebody. He was somebody who accompanied like one of the Crusades or something like that. And he eventually became pope. Dang, who was that? That's gonna keep me up all night now. But yeah, any reigning popes visiting the Holy Land? No, I don't think that ever happened.
And then asks about the Sharon K. Penman book about Richard the Lionheart, which I have read that. It is the only good novel I've ever read about Richard the Lionheart, and it's outstanding. It is dead on with the sources.
I've never actually read that.
It's massive, and she just sticks with the sources. I mean, again, those three big ones, Gesta Regis Ricardi, Ibn Shaddad, and the Conquest of Jerusalem and the Third Crusade. She really sticks to those, and it is awesome. It's accurate, and that's something we can't say about basically all other novels about Richard, which are all mostly just BS. So yeah, the book I'm writing right now, this is in response to Folifus, the book I'm writing right now is going to be the basis for the Knights of the Cross show. Like, the book I'm finishing up is about the Third Crusade, and that's the material that Bug and I are using to create the scripts for.
Great script. I've read it.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Peter. That was one of the ways I knew that I was maybe not screwing up completely when I sent it to you guys, and you guys gave me a thumbs up. So.
Well, I love that. What's so amazing is like you quote, you're using movie quality lines in the book that are actually were said. Like it's almost like too good to be true, but they do exist. Like lines that aren't made up, that actually were said, were uttered by these people that I think people will just love when they hear them.
Yeah, like according to the chroniclers. I mean, I do rely really heavily on those three big chroniclers and a couple others. There's also Ibn al-Athir that I used. And I agree with you, Peter. Like, the source material for the Third Crusade is very rich. And a lot of it, you can just like pull it directly and really adapt it well to a story. So.
Oh, and Stephen, I do appreciate your wanting to create a connection between my characters and yours.
Yeah, that's another thing that's kind of cool.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah, Baldwin de Coudray, who is going to be kind of the other
Gallian de Coudray.
Well, it's his. Baldwin is my character, and
Baldwin, right?
He's the grandson of Scott's character. he's a descendant of Scott's. He's a member of the lineage of Scott's family from his novel. I thought it'd be kind of
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of a cool idea. Like, I took one of his descendants, and he's on the Third Crusade. And there's even some references to Scott's novel in my book, like when he's discussing his family. So
it's like a shared universe.
Exactly.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
The MCU, Marvel Crusader universe.
Exactly, an RCH universe.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. So the cool thing too about Knights of the Cross is, I mean, if it's successful, we'll make more, and I think I would love to do for season 2. I mean, I think it's possible that in some way there will be an attempt to sort of continue Richard's story or something like that. But I think it'd be cool to like do the First Crusade or El Cid or
Yeah.
Spain.
Well, there's
Now we've got
Just-
a perfect basis for the first crusade, guys.
Right, and that would be my choice, Scott, would be to take, incorporate your characters into a first
that would-
crusade thing.
God,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
So that they can truly shine with honor.
Material, like
Yeah,
it's, I mean,
I don't-
it's historically there's so
I
much
wanted
good.
to kind of the purpose when I started writing I wanted to explore what medieval and all the different the just the way life was back then. I wanted to create that picture before I started on the other than just dropping hints of what was going on in the Middle East. I wanted to just create that picture of late 11th century France, and then work it gradually into the First Crusades. But then again, that probably wouldn't be appropriate for
I think you could absolutely get a really good season out of just telling the story of the First Crusade. Maybe having it start. Maybe have it start after 1095. In Clermont,
Right.
where it's already been preached, everybody's already on their way, and you kind of, early on, you see like all the, everybody gathering at Constantinople.
I think that's the only way to do the First Crusade through a series.
Yeah, have all the major figures, showing up, and have the political interplay between the different nobles and
now we're talking about keeping urban speech, aren't we?
I think artistically that could be something that you could just say in like an intro credit thing where it's already happened.
I don't know. I think it ought to be on screen myself.
I think in terms of what we end up doing, I mean, a lot of it depends on the kind of success we get with this first season. Like if it's
I know what you mean.
If it's massive, I mean, like if Christian Channel gets like, tens of thousands of subscribers from the season, I mean, we will have the funds to do something huge the next time. So I mean, it could be, who knows? I mean, the sky could be the limit in terms of what we'd be capable of portraying, and we could also probably do a longer second season as well.
Right. Well, I think that's cool. I think it's amazing that because I've known all of you guys for 6-7 years now. And, back in the early days, we were talking about it.
2008, Scott.
You've always wanted to do a movie, Stephen. I think the first couple of times. You said that's my ultimate dream, to do a TV series or a movie, and you told me this back in 2014 or something like that, and now it's actually coming true. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the right group of people wants to do it. I mean, it's really coming about as a labor of love from just a very talented group of people.
Yeah.
Angelo, Bug, everybody's doing it because they believe in it, and that's what's making it happen. So,
well, that's
Well, definitely keep us in the loop, and especially if there's anything we can do or anything we can contribute.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Peter, this is all dependent on what the situation is with the health situation too. So that's a good point, Peter. I mean, this will only happen if it's approved and all that stuff. So
COVID quits being a thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Gavin Newsom around my neck.
And now we have to delete the stream.
I know, right?
I'm sorry. My big mouth shooting off.
And RCH is outlawed in California. As if
imagine that somebody be like, "Don't watch this channel."
Oh man,
that's awesome.
This has been.
Well, I guess before we start going our separate ways, does everybody everybody gearing up for Christmas and going to be able to celebrate as much as you can within the circumstances, I guess.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got two little kids who are really excited. So, yeah. In fact, actually, moving up to Christmas, it's been really convenient because anytime we want to, get my daughter to stop misbehaving, we just tell her, we're going to call Santa. Like,
Oh yeah,
don't hit your brother. Call Santa and tell him you. And she's like, oh, okay. She's like, I won't do it. She's like instantly. Stop. My wife, I was like, what are we going to do when Christmas is over? Like, call Santa for next year, I guess. But
St. Nicholas of
Yeah, are
Myra slapping Arius for his heresy.
right, we tell her not to imitate him. Like, it's
wait,
funny,
wait until she's older before you tell her that part of the history.
It's funny when you have two like little bitty kids. Like my son is 1, my daughter is 3. Like just all of the kind of like natural human, I guess sort of like fallen aspects of our nature. Like you're just like they hit each other, they attack each other.
I've always had the opinion that little kids are like these little caricatures of human nature. Like
Exactly.
Yep.
Like my daughter, she's always telling my son, like, that's mine. Like no matter what it is, like that is mine. Like everything is hers. Doesn't your brother have some toys too? She's like, no, he can't have them. But, yeah, kids are fun. So, what's everybody doing for Christmas? Peter, what's up with your family?
We're all going to be together starting tomorrow. Tomorrow. We're just going to be staying in, partly celebrating my graduation and celebrating Christmas. And I'll finally have a lot more time to do my favorite thing: read about the history of the Crusades.
Yeah,
So,
that's you don't just have Christmas to celebrate this year. You've got graduation to celebrate too.
Yep, it's gonna be good. This is the beginning of a new chapter for me, I'm looking forward to the future of this channel and Knights of the Cross and the Christian channel, and I just think it's gonna be great.
Definitely. So, Scott, what are you and Gail up to?
Well, we're at my. You remember I told you guys we moved last year to a retirement community, and it was, let's see, it's been a little over a year ago, and anyway, the COVID has just shut. It's kind of like we're just kind of here in our apartment. And I get it. And I've had some good news on my health too. But
good.
Anyway, it's kind of
good.
It's like it's. I'm not going to have to do any drastic treatment measures that they usually do. So I'm in good shape. I mean, it's kind of a wait and watch situation. So that took a lot off my shoulders. But no, this place is locked down so tight. We can. I mean, we're just we live in independent living or residential living, which is just like having an apartment with just more amenities but still, this place is it's just locked down so tight. It's Gail and I are getting along fine, and I'm doing reading a lot and I'm keeping up with people online. Things have gone surprisingly okay. I do fall into kind of depressed, periods, where I'll just crash to get depressed, but that's about it. Other than that, everything's going well. And Gail and I we're having we're getting the Christmas dinner from the restaurant here.
Okay.
Awesome.
And it's going to be nice and quiet. That's about it.
Good deal.
That's good, Scott. And I know I get depressed too sometimes, but just know that you're not alone in that. We think about you, and we're cheering you on in this struggle, and keeping you on our prayers. So
Thanks. I
just want you
really
to know that.
appreciate that, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're yeah, things are okay with us, and yeah, and I, certainly, yeah, I do want to keep up and still be involved. Do what I can do. I'll put it that way. So, uh, no, I'm thrilled to hear all about you guys, what's going on with you, and but I'm really excited about the movie thing, and I mean, now that we've talked about it, it's amazing, and I don't know, who knows, it might show up out there for that filming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all need to be there at least once when we're
Yeah.
working on
Oh,
it.
I will. I will.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I guess that's probably about it for us for tonight, guys. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta eat.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go eat some more too. That sounds like a good idea, Peter.
Yeah, well, that sounds good to
Well,
me.
we got like 10 pounds of barbecue for my party, and
Oh.
there's a lot left over. So
Oh,
I wish you guys could have been there if we weren't so far.
he just has to casually throw that out there.
Were you celebrating your graduation, Peter?
Yes,
So you're finished now. Great.
I'm finished.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a big deal. No
Yeah,
matter how people put down college, it's a big deal. Believe me.
well, getting out of it surely is a big deal.
Well, no, Jim. Well, and the degree is too. I mean, it is a big deal, and the way people are putting the whole thing down now. The whole idea is no, just be glad you did, and be proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud to say that I am a holder of a philosophy degree, so I guess
That's
it technically
terrific.
makes me a philosopher now.
It's also not an easy degree to get. That takes.
No, that is not.
It was not.
Not at all.
Good job on that, Peter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking, guys, one way I'd like to contribute to this channel in the future would be maybe if I could talk about during streams and maybe make some of my own videos, maybe about the philosophy that was prominent during the Crusades from both the Christian and Muslim sides.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to do a whole stream about that and just let you kind of divulge all kinds of stuff on that.
Yeah, theology is cool too. I'm really interested in the different strands of Orthodox Christian thought, Eastern and Oriental. That'd be cool.
I do think the Middle Ages was a far richer period in terms of philosophy than our period today. It's really
Well, back then philosophy was it wasn't considered separate from science. It basically was science. People were calling that back then. It was later when people scholars began specializing in different fields.
Well, now they almost act like philosophy is just kind of like this sort of like kind of odd curiosity kind of over there in the corner.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Philosophy is the central.
Yeah. It's where the sciences came from.
Exactly. Yes.
Science back then was called natural philosophy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you hear, I've seen the meme. There's a meme out there that says this, but it's like well, philosophy doesn't really matter. All that matters is science. And then the person asks them, well, why does science matter? And they
exactly.
They start to talk, and they're like, and you're doing philosophy now.
That's so good.
Or they'll always say, we need to get rid of religion and have science so we can have a better world. It's like, what does a better world look like? What does that mean?
All right,
well,
everybody, I guess that's it.
Go down that rabbit hole. It's been fantastic. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Definitely spread this around. Like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Spread us around, get our name out there, and hopefully we'll be seeing you all soon, and we'll have more content for you.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. God bless you and keep you always. And a Merry Christmas to all of our noble followers. Deus Vult.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. This has been a
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. This has been a fun time, and we will talk to everybody a little later. Good night.
All right.
All right.